First off, I'm going to take my hip circumference measurement and mark that on my fabric. My hip circumference is 46. 46 divided by 4 is 11.5. I'm going to mark 11.5 all through to the length of my fabric. Then I'm going to take the length of my pants. The length I'm using is 41. I'm going to measure at this side and also at the other end to have a straight line when I connect the points together. And then I added 1.5 inches for the hem allowance. After marking the hem line, I went ahead to connect all the areas that I have marked, that is my hip circumference. I connected all the points together. Then I got the midpoint of my hip circumference, that is I divided 11.5 by 2 to get the midpoint. So that is what I am marking right now. I marked this area, then I went ahead to mark out my crotch depth. The crotch depth measurement I'm using is 10.5. So in case you do not have your client's crotch depth measurements, you can actually get that by using this formula. That is, you divide your hip circumference by 4 and you minus 1 from 8. So what I'm using here is 11.5 minus 1. That gives 10.5. After marking 10.5 at the side of this pant, I'm going to use a straight line to connect all of the points together. Now on this line that I have marked, I'm going to measure my thigh measurement on it, as I'm going to take my thigh measurement on this, and my thigh measurement is 28. 28 divided by 2, that's 14. So I'm going to measure 14 and mark that out. After marking, I'm going to use a curve to connect where I have just marked to my center front. That's the center front of this pants. Next, I'm going to take my lower waist measurement. My lower waist measurement is 38. 38 divided by 4, that is 9.5. So I will not just mark 9.5 because I will be using up 1 inch for my dart. So I'm going to add that 1 inch to 9.5, that is 10.5 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 10.5 inches. Remember, we have 11.5 there, so I'll have an excess 1 inch at the side there. Then from that 1 inch that is excess there, I would use my curve ruler to draw a curved line from my lower waistline to my hip line. Coming to the center front at the lower waistline, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. After making 1 inch, I will use my curve ruler to draw a slight curve connecting what I have marked to the side. I'm going to measure and mark 20. That's the length from the waist to the upper knee. After measuring that, I will connect the points together using a straight line. Then from this part, that is my thigh measurement, I'm going to use a curve to connect from there downward. Now the knee circumference is 22. 22 divided by 2 is 11. Note this: your thigh circumference measurements, the knee measurement, and the ankle measurements will be divided by 2, while the waist measurement and the hip measurements will be divided by 4. So this knee circumference is 22 divided by 2, which is 11. Then 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. The reason I divided 11 by 2 is because I want to place the results on the midpoint, that's that midline that I marked. So 5.5 will be placed on that line. Then I'm going to mark 11 at the side there and mark the tip of the tape rope at this other end, while placing 5.5 on the marked point. Now this is the base of my pants. I've added 1.5 for the hem allowance. After that, I went ahead to take my ankle circumference measurement, which is 18. So from the mid line there, I placed 4.5 inches on the midline because 18 divided by 2 is 9.
and 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So I placed 4.5 on the midline, and then I marked 9 at the side and the tip of the tape. So altogether it is 9 inches. Then I'm going to draw a line to connect all the points together this way. After drawing the line at the side of the pants, I'm going to go to the center front and do likewise, joining the part that I have marked, that is the 9 inches, joining that part to the knee circumference. From the waist, I measured 5.5 for my dart length, and I went out by 0.5 on both sides of the dart leg. So the 0.5 that I created on both sides is what I would use to create my dart. I would like you to subscribe to my channel if you're yet to do so. Like, share this video, drop your comments, and turn on your notification bell to get updated whenever I post useful videos like this. Here's the cutout look of the front part of this pants. So I'll be drafting the pocket now. The length of the pocket that I used for this tutorial is 7, that is from the waist, and then the pocket width is 2.5. So I'm just going to connect the 2 points together. Where I marked 7 inches, I came out by ½ inch. So by the time I join the front part of this pants to the back one, I would have enough space. I've laid the front piece over the back one, and as you can see, I have excess fabric at the waist area because I'll be lifting this part up by 1 inch, and the center front I'll be lifting that part up by 2 inches. The reason I'll be lifting the center front by 2 inches is because I came down by 1 inch at the center front of the front piece. So that 1 inch plus 1 inch for the back makes 2 inches. From here, I'm going to go straight to the side and measure 2 inches for the same allowance. So these 2 inches, I'm going to measure it all through to the length of this pants. While sewing, I'm going to make use of ½ inch on every side of this pants, as on the 4 sides of the pants. Therefore, I will definitely use up the 2 inch, that is 0.5 times 4 is 2 inches. Now, one thing you should note is when you place your front fabric over the back one, you want to ensure that the sides and the upper parts have enough fabrics because of the extensions and the seam allowances I will be adding to the back parts. Having connected the seam allowance points together, I'm going to draw a slanted line from the center front of these 2 inches that I extended the back width to the level of the front part waistline. I'll be doing this to the back part, but it will be to the level of the front part waistline. See the way my tape is slanted downward. So I'm just going to rule a straight line this way to meet up with the front waistline level. Then I will come down to the thigh region and extend this part by 2.5. Remember, we are working on the back piece, so I'm extending the back thigh area by 2.5. After tracing this curve at the front part, I'm going to use a slight curve to connect this extended area down to my knee area. After dividing my waist measurements by 4, I got the midpoint of the results, and that is where I want my dart placement to be. So from there, I came down by 5.5 inch and then marked 0.5 inch at both sides of the dart leg. Then I'm just going to roll a straight line and then connect all the points together to create my dart. We are done with the front and back piece. Next, I will show you how to cut the pocket and the band as well as the belt loop. Before we move to the other phase, let me show you how to eliminate bulging at the waist of a pants. from that center back, go in by 0.75 inch and cut it off. At the thigh region, go down by 0.75 inch as well. So by the time the front piece is sewn to the back one, the length will be balanced up. After marking, I will just connect this to the previous curve, both the thigh area and the waist area. After marking, the next thing I'll do is to cut off these new markings that I have just made. Afterwards, we'll move on to the next, which is pockets, the side pocket. I have the pocket piece all ready. I have two, that's for two pockets. So the length of this pocket is 13 inches and the width is 12 inches. So this pocket will be folded into two when I want to sew. And for the band, I cut out a white piece of fabric. I folded it into two and cut upon what I've folded. I'm going to lay my pants over this band that I have cut out because I'll be tracing the waistline on this band. Following the waistline, I'm going to draft out my band. This is the front piece and I have two pieces of band for the front piece here. I will cut two more for the facing. So these two pieces I have here is for the two parts of this front pants. I've laid the front part of this pants over the band, so I'm going to trace out the waistline onto this band. After tracing out the waistline, I'll just go ahead and use my tip rule to measure upward 3.5 inches. The width of my band that I want for this pants is 2.5, but the seam allowance I'm using 0.5 for the top and for the base as well, so that is why we have 3.5 inches. So I'm going to measure upward so I can achieve the same curve that I have at the waistline at the top part of this band. At the front here, I'm marking 2 inches, although this 2 inches is only for one side of the band at the front part here. Yes, for the zipper, I'll be using this for the zipper. So the other side, I'll cut off the 2 inches, then only one part of the front band would be left with these 2 inches. After measuring the 3.5 inches from the waistline, I will just rule out all of the points together. In this tutorial, I'm using two waist measurements, the lower waist and the upper waist. Now, the lower waist I have 38 inches, the upper waist I'm using 36 inches. So for the lower waist, I marked 9.5, that's 38 divided by 4. So I worked with 9.5. Then at the upper part, which is for this band, the upper part of this band, I'm using 9 inches. So that means at the waist, the side area there, I'm going to remove extra 0.5 inch to make it 36. And while taking down this waist measurement, you remember I added the 1 inch of that I would use up by the time I sew my darts in. So instead of 9.5 at the waist, I marked 10.5 at the waistline. But for my band, I would not be adding that 1 inch to the band. So the pants will have 10.5, while the band will have 9.5 at the base and 9 at the upper parts. So I'll mark the side area using a slight cuff to connect the up and the down part of the band. Then I will just hold the dart so that you see that the waistline of the pant corresponds to the band length. The 2 inches that I added to the band, I will remove that from one of the band. But this time around, I'll be taking out 1.5 inches and I'll be leaving 0.5 inch for the seam allowance. So after marking this out, I'm just going to cut it off. Now this piece that I just added to the front, I'll be using this for the zipper, and this second one, I'll be using both of them for my zipper. This is the back piece. It's similar to that of the front one. So I'm just going to mark out the waistline on this back band, and after marking it out, I'm going to take the waist measurement like I explained for the front piece, knowing that the upper waist is smaller than the lower one. So I'll take the waist measurement, and from the waistline I'm going to measure 3.5. that is for the band width with the seam allowance together. Here is the cutout look of the back band. Remember, at the back I removed 0.75. We'll be doing the same thing for the band. I removed 0.75 just so this can be balanced. So this is me holding the darts to ensure that the band length is same with the waist length. These are the belt loops that I'll be using. I have 7 of them here. The width of this belt loop is 1.25 and the length is 4.5 inches. I added 1 inch extra to the 3.5 inches I used for the band. Thank you so much for watching.
It's all so clear.